welcome to our first streaming on Aboutjobs TV. We are going to be talking about Stanley. I manage companies, the staff for certain companies, as one of the things we do at my company, ACR Global. And Aboutjobs TV, we want to be able to bring cases that we handle without unveiling the identity of the individual, and use it as a way to train others who are about to come into a company or those who are coming into the labor market. So as the quote said today, be the boss that you would like to have. We're going to talk about so many things during this session today. We're going to look at statistics of job loss in Lagos and Nigeria. We're going to look at building a career that you love versus a job. And we're also going to talk about this buzz going on in 2020, and the buzz says to everybody that there are no jobs. So we'll find out if it's true or not. But let's start with Stanley's query. I'd like to read it to you. Stanley's boss writes to Stanley and says, despite several verbal warnings to you on the need to be punctual at the office as stipulated by policies guiding your employment with the company, you still find it difficult to comply. You hardly work 4 days in a week, and despite the fact that you take instructions for me, you always find it difficult to answer my questions. I pretend as if nothing happened. Your arrogance is excellent as you do not have any regard for me again. Can you convince management that you are not tired of working with me? When I read queries like this, or when I intervene with cases like this, I always remember the fact that there was a day that this person was looking for a job and was sitting at the other side of the interview doing everything he thought he needed to do to be able to get the job. And then when he gets the job, he gets a query like this. But it's not at face value, because I went in for the mediation. I call it a mediation as opposed to a disciplinary hearing. And the purpose of a mediation is to make sure that we can bring the employer and the employee, or the line manager and the subordinate, to see the same way. Stanley's side of the story was that he felt like he was no longer appreciated by his boss. And because he wasn't appreciated by his boss, he didn't want to give more than he thought was necessary. And the boss, on the other hand, felt slighted by Stanley because he gave everything he thought he should to show care to Stanley, and Stanley reciprocated it by not communicating. And these are cases that we face. So we're going to have, with every programming, the opportunity for you to send us an email to aboutjobtv@acrglobal.com with the title, I can't believe my boss did this to me. And we're going to analyze it together and help teach others and help teach you who wrote to us as well. So don't forget to send us an email. So with Stanley's case, was Stanley wrong for saying to himself, well, I've done everything that I think should please this boss, but he keeps telling me I'm not doing enough, and so he should just, listen, do what he can. He can't come and kill himself. Or was the boss wrong for not seeing Stanley's perspective? I'm sure you want to know what we did after the interview with Stanley and his boss. We'll see you after the break. Thank you for waiting till after the break. So this is what I told Stanley. I said to him that when you work with an organization, you're working for your line manager, because the organization is not a person. So that line manager that you're working with, regardless of what you think you know or how good you think you are, if you and him do not have a good relationship, your time at work will be a frustrating one. So I told Stanley to invest more time in understanding the little things that make his boss appreciate the larger things that he does. So it might be something as little as picking up the bag for his boss. It might be something as little as complimenting the shirt of the boss. With this particular boss, it was respect, because this boss gives respect to everybody. And remember that respect is subjective. It has a lot to do with your culture and your background. So So for instance, I said to Stanley that if I went for a contract in Japan and I saw the CEO, I wouldn't say because I was born in Nigeria and the way we greet is to curtsy. I could curtsy, and to him that means that I do not recognize him. But in Japan, when you're going to greet, you go like this. So you have to understand what is respect to your boss and give him that kind of respect. And in return, they will give you a pleasurable ride. You will be able to not come to work maybe early with understanding with your boss, and you will still be able to get the rewards due you and also be able to do much more in your job. So that was what I told Stanley. What I told the boss was quite different. I just said to the boss, try and understand the factors around what has changed with Stanley. Stanley said something and I thought you would want to hear. He said there was a time where he felt like he was the favorite of his boss, but now they're beginning to compete in their department and he feels like the boss no longer keeps him as favorite. Whereas from the boss's side of it, he said Stanley was his star person and Stanley wasn't talking to him. So these are issues that we face while we're managing staff, and I would like to share more with you as we go through Job TV. Obviously, when we finish the mediation session, Stanley and his boss are now working together as a team, as we would like. So what we're going to go into now, we're going to look at statistics telling us the level of job loss that has happened in the year 2020. How many people have lost their jobs, what industries they have lost their jobs in. And after that, I will talk to you about the fact that there are jobs, even though you're being told there are no jobs.
By asking, do you think we're paying enough attention to the unemployment problem in Nigeria?
I don't think we are. I think the unemployment situation is dire. We have an unemployment rate of between 20 and 25%. Youth unemployment rate, very importantly, is about 50%. Female unemployment rate also has been ignored for many years, and that's about 50% as well. So when you look at the different segments of unemployment as well as the total unemployment, it's just not something that we're putting enough weight on. Also, Nigeria is predicted to have a population of over 400 million by 2050. So we need our leaders, we need the government, we need the incoming president to focus on not just solving problems for today, but solving problems for tomorrow. So with a growing population, of course, it's going to directly affect, the demand and supply of jobs. They need to start to focus on those things now so that people can have better futures.
All right, but as we finish the election cycle, as we're heading into it now, but let's look into the future and look at May 29th, when we're handing over power. And what do you think would be some of the quick wins that an incoming administration can focus on to get this going?
Yes, I think, firstly, when you look at a lot of developed countries, they grew exponentially when they started to empower small and medium-sized enterprises. So with a growing population that is growing in multiple rates per year, it's important to empower small businesses, give more access to loans, make it more transparent and clear how people can get loans without nepotism, without knowing someone in the bank. Let them have a clear access to finance, because if you're able to empower 1 million people to set up small companies that can employ 5 people, you've gotten jobs for 5 million people. So that's important. We need to focus on the smaller businesses. That's one of the things. Also, vocational trainings are very important. There's been a lot of focus and a lot of drive towards white-collar jobs. And it's impossible to have enough white-collar jobs for the amount of people that are looking for work. And many of them don't have the educational background. Now, instead of pushing people more and more into tertiary institutions, into being graduates, not everybody can be a graduate. We have to focus on vocational trainings for youths, so that when people graduate from secondary school level, they can start to train as a chef, as a designer, as they can go into carpentry and so many other different services, even retail sector. And these are sectors that are now worth billions of naira in Nigeria.
You've watched the statistics and they've told you the bad news, right? But I'm here to tell you the good news. So everybody said 2020, pandemic year, some of us call it plandemic, there are now no jobs. But it's not possible for somebody to tell you that there are no jobs. Why? Because of the definition of a job. I wrote a book called Becoming Companies Want in 2012, and in that book I defined a job. I said a job is a bundle of challenges for which somebody is employed to consistently deliver solutions. So simply by definition, a job is created where there is a challenge. My question to you is, can you see challenges around the world? In fact, there are more challenges that we need to handle. So that automatically means that there are more jobs. The difference is that the jobs have actually changed form because the challenges have changed form. So now it's no longer a major issue for somebody to get from point A to point B if they don't have a car. You have several options. You have Uber, you can walk, you can take a Marwa, you can take, but even in taking all these things, there are people that are actually solving that problem. What is being expressed when you hear there are no jobs? What they're trying to say is where there were jobs before, they are no longer there. They have shifted. But if you are one that is not able to transit or change with the shift, you will find that there are no jobs. Secondly, the way that you are looking for jobs obviously has shifted. So now a lot more interviews are happening through video interviews. A lot more people are being called for interview, not by their application, but by their profile. Somebody is looking for somebody of value and they stumble on your LinkedIn profile and they ask you, are you available for a chat? They're talking to people who are doing well at jobs and they're asking, oh, do you know somebody that can do this? So what that means to you now is you need to change your strategy in getting a job. One of the things you're doing right already is watching Aboutjobs TV, because we're going to give you tools, we're going to give you tips, we're going to give you back-end support, we're going to give you motivation. I will literally lift you up your chair and land you in your new job while you join me through these sessions. But one thing that I want you to go away in this session is to find out where the jobs are, how to approach the jobs, and what to do to get the jobs. I also want you to know the difference between a career and a job and how to use both. It is not wrong to have a job and it is not wrong to build a career, but you must know how to use both. I'll tell you about that after the break. Okay, so welcome back after the break. So what I told you before we went on break is that there are jobs. You just need to find out where the jobs are, and we're going to do our next series of programmings on showing you exactly where the jobs are and how to go for them and how to engage. We'll also hear from employers on this. But what I want to leave you with is to understand the difference between a career and a job. A job is a particular challenge that you're solving at a period of time for pay. A career, however, is you choosing a group of global challenges which fall into an industry and choosing to give your mind attention, your life's attention to closing that gap through different vehicles. It could be through several jobs, it could be through owning a company of your own, it could be through starting an association or a club, but all this is because you're trying to solve a global need. Now, for the short term, you must have a job, but it will be better if your job is placed within your career path, and that way you will have money and fulfillment in what you call a job. So I hope this session has been able to give you some insight on Aboutjobs TV, what we're offering you, about the streaming, and about how you can benefit from watching more sessions with us. Remember, you are important, you have value, and when you know your value, you will not be exploited. Thank you. I'm Fumi Bajulai.